So is anybody tired of it yet?
What?
This is officially the fifth time. I know it might seem like more, but it's actually the fifth time.
The fifth official taco.
Official taco, yeah. It's
the official Trump taco.
It has the official seal of taco-ness.
I'm very much sick of it.
Funny thing is, it's supposed to just a detail in a way, but here's the official pronouncement of the taco. Surprise, surprise, everybody. What's funny about it, this is from the White House. The White House's page. So it's like Trump isn't even really part of the White House, apparently. Because the White House has to report on what Trump posted on social media.
Yeah.
He's in the White House, but he doesn't actually tell the White House staffers what he's going to post. They have to go to social, through social. defending what he posted, and then they posted on X
They
and other platforms.
cross-posted, yeah.
But they just do a summation of it there. It's like Trump's post is a bit longer, is it? Or not? No, they actually wrote it all. So the USA is locked and loaded and ready to go against the Islamic. Really? We didn't know that. Thanks for telling us. At levels of military terror, strength and power not seen since World War II. Okay. Power. Despite this, we have just been asked by Iran, yet again, apparently, allegedly, and other Middle Eastern countries. Oh, that's the important part, I think. Other Middle Eastern countries. We've just been asked by Iran. I'm just throwing it in there, but other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attack, in that the perimeters of a deal have been agreed to. Again, ad nauseum, Groundhog Day. This would include the immediate, complete, and total reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. Well, where did we hear that before? Based on this request, I have agreed for the future benefit of the world.
Oh.
And likewise, the survival of a successful and prosperous Iran to cancel the attack. I'm really good at cancelling. No one cancels like me. I'm the best at cancelling. Subject to being able to rapidly make a deal. The country of Israel joins me in this commitment. Good job. FYI. Get to work, everybody, and get it done. So if we just read out the actual bolded part, that's opening of the Hormuz Strait, world deal done. Donald J. Trump. So you could just read the bold or the caps of that message. If you want to speed read it, just read and you get the message. Opening of Hormuz Strait, world deal done. Donald J. Trump.
What if the whole thing is in caps?
He's done that too. Not recently.
Then you don't read it at all. You ignore it.
You just run screaming.
So the interesting part of that, again, just to give you a little insight maybe into it, is probably the most likely reason of what's actually going on here, what has been going on the whole time. Again, it is just Groundhog Day. It's something that's so obvious, been known from the very beginning, or very soon after Trump thought he was going to blow up Trump and Israel. And then he thought they were going to bring Iran to its knees, and then they figured out quite quickly, oh, that's not working. Why isn't that not working? Since that happened, so we're talking really about in the first couple of weeks of March, basically, this has been known, I think, that, and it's in this message where he says, I've just been asked by Iran and other Middle Eastern countries. The point being, it's other Middle Eastern countries, particularly
Saudi Arabia,
particularly Saudi Arabia, but other Gulf states as well, but there's not many of them. They're the ones who obviously have the most to lose from this, because the Americans have been put on notice from the very beginning. They figured it out fairly quickly. Iran told them, well, first of all, they're not able to destroy Iran's military missile capability, and Iran maintains that ability to do what they say they will do if they are attacked wholesale or in any kind of significant way, i.e. attacking their civilian infrastructure to destroy their civilization. If that happens, Iran has made it very clear long before now that they would destroy all of the Gulf state infrastructure, and that would throw the world into a major global economic crisis, and it would be Trump's fault. And not only that, but they, particularly Saudi Arabia, but other GCC, because back in was it last year when he came back from there, and he had like something like $2 or $3 trillion of investments from Saudi Arabia, brokered by Kushner and that kind of stuff, right? So that would all be just like gone, right? That promise of the continued, not just what they promised last year, but the ongoing decades-long investment by, obviously part of the Saudi of the petrodollar deal, where the Saudis uphold, maintain, support the petrodollar, which is basically that oil is traded and sold in dollars. And I basically give them free money for free to America, which is basically why America can indebt itself up the wazoo forever, because basically people buy American dollars for they say America sells its dollars. It's really the only country in the world in that explicit way that actually sells paper money and receives hard, tangible goods in return. That's what the petrodollar is.
Yeah.
It's like I have some piece of paper that I just printed off my printing machine. I'm going to give them. You want them. I'm going to give those to you, but I'm going to charge you the value of those dollars. And in return, I don't want your francs or whatever it is you people use.
Euros
or
whatever.
Euro. I want you give me stuff that I want that you produce. So I get it for free. I get it for the
discounted.
Price. Well, I get it for the price of the cost of paper money, printing paper, effectively.
Although hidden costs
that's the
on my side is I guarantee your security if I can.
The Americans.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly that's the deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some French politician called it an exorbitant privilege back in the day.
Yeah.
Petrodollar. And again, this is why Americans are kind of, we've talked about this before, Americans who don't know this are kind of clueless. They spin that into that exorbitant privilege that was taken by them, back however many, 56 years ago, whatever it is now. That is what is behind the economic prowess and standard of living, etc., that Americans enjoy. And Americans have been convinced or been told or tell themselves
it was Jesus.
That it was either Jesus or
and
just
their God-given ingenuity.
Uniquely American. It's just exception. We just have this thing. And it's bullshit because obviously any country, any group of people, sizable enough group of people in the country who had access to the same exorbitant privilege would end up being in the same position America is. So it's not anything to do with your productivity or your ingenuity or your entrepreneurial spirit or some other American way bullshit. It's so it's obvious. Anyway, the point is that if Trump were to go ahead and do what he keeps on threatening to do, but actually obviously can't do, and everybody knows he can't do it, which is destroy Iran completely and force open the Strait of Hormuz, Iran would respond by effectively destroying the American economy, and in short order. And of course, most of the rest of the world would go in the same direction. So that's why he's not doing it. That's why he's tackling all the time. And it's weird. He's just caught. He's stuck. Trump is just trapped.
Yeah.
And he can't. He should be able to just walk away from it and say, "Oh," but his ego won't let him. It'll be bad. There's a downside. It's a rock and a hard place kind of situation. You might think, well, it's insignificant, his ego, whatever, but it's America's reputation, and that does actually translate to tangible downsides. If America comes out of this looking like having been defeated by Iran, there's all sorts of negatives associated with that start with just the appearance of it, the image of it, the reputational damage, and also walking away now and leaving Iran in control and empowered, more powerful than it was before, and in control of the Strait of Hormuz, has a potential negative downsides down the line
for precedents
in the not too distant future. No, but also just them having control over it. If they can continue to basically say no more Israeli ships, no more American ships, or if you want your ships to come in, you have to do A, B, or C. They just don't want that kind of restriction. Iran to have that kind of leverage over them. So he doesn't want to do that, and he also doesn't want and can't, like I said, at the risk of destroying the global economy and being held responsible for it, he can't go ahead and do what he keeps on talking about doing, which is obliterating, destroying. What was this week? Not kick the shit out of them, or not?
Jesus, on Wednesday we're going to beat the effing shit out of Iran.
Yeah. So no, you're not, obviously. So,
but by Friday he was very different. Measured.
But so that's a horrible position. I mean, imagine having to say that and then back down. Like, this is the fifth time, and then having to turn around. And the weird thing is that he apparently has no shame about it. It's fine for him to do that. He's apparently not aware of, because he keeps doing it. He's not aware of how bad that looks. How it makes him look. It makes him look like a liar, an idiot, a bullshitter, over and
crazy,
over and over again.
Unreliable, etc. Yeah.
And of course, as if they needed to, Iran, in response to Trump saying that today about that there's a deal, and they there's a deal in the offing, and it's about opening the Strait of Hormuz. Iran responded today by saying Iran will not authorize the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, citing, as far as reported, citing a source in Iran's negotiating team, and that no agreement on resuming shipping exists, and reports circulating to that effect are false. And the source stressed that the strait will remain closed as long as the US continues its hostile actions. So no change whatsoever. We're just same thing we've said all along. The Iranians, same thing we've said all along. Stop being a bully. Take your shit out of the Middle East, basically, or do something to basically back down.
Yeah.
Admit surrender in whatever way you want to, but admit that you screwed up. Can't get out of this. We have the upper hand. We always will. You can't change that. So deal with it. Do something. But so Iran can just sit there and wait. Say, set their watches by the next,
build up to it.
Build up to a. We're going to blow the freaking crapola out of that country
with
just
more cuss words, because
and then they'll say, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and tackle. Okay. And so round it goes, and
it can't go on. Well, let me ask: how much longer can this go on? Can it go on?
The thing is, I think it's possible. A lot of people are talking about it, wondering about. We talked about this last week about how there hasn't been much effect, any real, let's say, significant effect, at least felt by ordinary people in countries around the world, of the economic impact of this
supply chain disruption,
closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Whereas, there's been, I don't know, somebody has to do the numbers, but because sometimes there's a few ships getting through or whatever, but the overall number obviously is 20%. Yeah. So we're into 4 months now. 4 months of significant restrictions and closure on or reduction in the flow of energy, oil and gas, out of the Strait of Hormuz, out of the Middle East, at least from the Strait of Hormuz, and more recently the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, making it worse. That's 20% of the world's oil. So how come we haven't felt the 20%? And we talked about it last week about how basically China decided that
as the global benefactor,
the global capo, mafia boss, whatever. It's not that they were doing it necessarily as in a benevolent way, but they basically, like we talked about last week, they reduced over this period of time, they have reduced their imports of oil by 40-50%, which has allowed that amount of oil to be available to the rest of the world to avoid this significant shortfall. Yeah. So I think this. So people are talking about that. People are wondering why we haven't felt that, and the answer is mainly China doing that for their own in their own interests, and it just so happens also in the interest of the world. Because we talked about that before. China doesn't want a global economic recession.
It needs markets to export to.
It's a massive exporter of all sorts of goods to all sorts of countries, and if Europe or America, whatever, started went down the tubes economically, people aren't buying stuff anymore, then China's economy takes a serious hit, and you can snowball into a serious global recession or economic crisis, basically. So China doesn't want that to happen, so it figured they would just quietly stop buying oil, because it had stockpiled vast quantities of oil, not just the ones that people know about, but also people are speculating that they must have stuff underground that nobody knows about as well.
Their own salt caverns.
Super vast resources. But the problem is that there's a
question mark.
Well, there's a limit on it. How long is that going to last?
Yeah.
At some point, China is going, however long this continues on,
it's going to get
China
hungry.
Is going to have to start buying oil again.
Yeah.
And when that happens, then you'll realize that you'll see the effects of this shortage out of the Middle East. So it just depends how much stock or storage China has and how long they can stretch it out for before they have to turn and start buying large quantities of oil on the market, pushing the price. That's why the price has been kept relatively low as well, because the flow was there, because China had reduced its imports. But as soon as China turns around and says, okay, look, we don't have any reserves left, or we get to the point where we don't want to tap into our reserves anymore, we're going to start buying the same quantities. We're going to basically increase our imports by 50% back to the standard. Then you have a shortage, and prices go up then. And how bad that is at that point, it's unknown. But so figure out how much storage China has and how long that will last them at their current consumption rates. And then you'll be able to know. Then you'll know when the
shit hits the fan. I have a little theory. First, actually, even in April, when the doom was starting to hit the mainstream press, like, oh my God, they were doing the numbers. By August, it's, terminal decline for everyone. Even then, we were hedging and saying, well, we'll see, because it's a complex system. So we've since had that surprise that China's just absorbed a lot of it by slashing its imports of oil by 50%. But there are other factors too. There's diversification, other reserves of other countries. But that's the main one. You look into the details of what any given country has done, and they've diversified.
Yeah.
Because as long as there are options, it's kind of like if you look at the world, like many arteries and blood vessels, people have shifted and adapted. It's been remarkably resilient. And we did say that we hedged when we suggested a doom scenario. Well, it's a complex system, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But what you're saying now is you're likely to come to a real pinching moment when China gets hungry again and re-enters the market.
Yeah.
I have a little theory. I don't want to put too much weight in it, but Trump has since had a full state honors visit to China. And by all accounts, outwardly, it went very well. Both sides were happy with it. My little theory is that this obliteration tango will continue until China mediates it. Because clearly they're getting nowhere with Pakistan mediating Iran versus. They're both headstrong. They both have blood. They tasted blood. They're both confident in their own strategies. China could enter and mediate. There could be some kind of...
What would China do?
I don't know if they would be able to make a new arrangement for specifically, I suppose, concerning stuff flowing out of the Strait of Hormuz. So it would have to be an encompassing, a GCC. There is talk of a GCC Iran arrangement currently being mediated by Oman that they'd be happy with for management, ongoing future management of the Strait. We don't know where that's going, because outwardly the GCC are like conniving with the West.
Well,
they would be.
It's difficult to do, because you're going to have to get something that both would be agreeable, that both America and the US and the Iranians would be agreeable to. Yeah. The Iranians have suffered. They figure they've suffered a lot, and they're not willing to take this bullshit anymore. And this is the war to end all wars, as far as they're concerned, in the sense of the war to end all US. Attacks with impunity on Middle Eastern countries. And they'd like it to extend towards, obviously Israel, or Hezbollah, or Lebanon, and Iraq, etc. Allies of Iran, but at the very least for themselves. That this has to end. The outcome of this has to be that the US is put in its place, and that for at least a generation, that it's not possible. It will no longer think of being able to use force to dictate terms against Iran, and they would like also in the Middle East in general. So I think that's their red line, and for them to be able to achieve that, they have to maintain their military capability, but they also, I think, realize they believe that the leverage they have over the Strait of Hormuz has to stay for that to be, because that's soft power, but it's actually it has more influence. It's stronger than hard power, let's say. So for them to actually get something useful for them out of this whole situation, they need to maintain control over the Strait of Hormuz. And I don't think America would ever accept that. So I don't imagine that the Chinese would be able to.
We have always said
find
that
a way.
There will come a day where the US will have to accept multipolar reality.
Maybe
they can deny.
I think they're ideologically.
Yes, but
unable to do that.
But their head is just hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
So,
it was interesting. I saw during the week that was it 2 days ago? No, it was a few days ago. 29th of July, whenever that was, middle of the week. The Atlantic put this out. Just on that topic we were talking about last week, and then the Atlantic wrote this little article on the Great Chinese Oil Mystery. America's greatest rival is single-handedly averting a global energy crisis. No one knows how the country is doing it or why, but well, they kind of do, you know. You can see in the first paragraph there, when Iran shut down the Strait of Hormuz, experts warned that oil prices would hit $150, $200 a barrel within a few weeks. The great mystery of the Iran war is why that hasn't happened. Nearly 5 months later, oil prices have scarcely surpassed $100. The explanation is China. Check that out in the second paragraph. Before the war, China, by far the world's largest oil importer, was buying more barrels than the entire European continent, and almost twice as much as the second largest importer, the United States, which makes sense because it's basically got twice the population of both of those.
Yeah.
Then, a few weeks after the conflict broke out, the country abruptly slashed its oil purchases, eventually cutting them by half compared to pre-war levels. That's why global prices. So, like, the headline's a bit of clickbait. No one knows how the country is doing it or why.
And then they explained how.
And then they explained how and why.
But, yeah. I mean, the why has mundane market explanations. Prices going high. Well, we're not going to buy to keep our reserves up with them so high. So it benefits us, and it happens to then indirectly benefit the market if we pull up massively on buying at these prices. So,
well, their explanation is, if you go on down there a few paragraphs to the one that starts with, this has led some experts towards, you can't see it all.
Paywall here for Scotty.
Not for me, for some reason. This has led some experts to speculate that China was seeking to build soft power by saving the world economy or trying to gain leverage over the United States. Others have suggested that Beijing saw the Strait of Hormuz crisis as an opportunity to show the world that it could successfully withstand an oil shock.
Yeah.
And 80% of China's oil imports arrive through the Strait of Malacca, a narrow waterway that could be cut off in the event of a conflict over Taiwan. This has long been considered a potentially decisive advantage for Taiwan and its Western allies. Perhaps Beijing wants to subtly warn the rest of the world that it could not be brought to its knees by an energy blockade.
Yeah.
But if any of these geopolitics focused hypotheses were true, then China would presumably have taken credit for its actions.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, its leaders have been completely silent.
As usual.
Mm-hmm.
And a final possibility is that China is propping up foreign economies to protect its manufacturing base. China's economy relies on exporting huge amounts of cheap goods all over the world. If its biggest customers across Europe and Asia suddenly experiences a recession, half its export market and a bunch of its economy would be lost with it. So yeah, all of that basically is the reason China did it. But like I said, the Chinese are best positioned to know exactly how much oil they've got in their reserves, known and unknown. And they're waiting to see. But I don't think it'll last forever. I doubt it'll last much more than, the rest of this year. Might have 6 months or something like that. Reserves, who knows? I don't imagine that, it's only 50%, but
that's a lot.
Yeah, but not buying, reducing your imports by 50% and relying for that 50% on your reserves. How much reserves can you realistically have had? I mean, people could probably if you did the math or looked deeply into it to find out how much was being imported by China over the past X number. You'd have to go back quite a while to see how long they've been storing it, but you could probably get some kind of rough estimate of how much they've got left and how long that can last them. I don't think it's years, basically, put it that way. So if that's the case, then you'd imagine that they would need to, if they know that they're going to have to start buying oil on the market to previous levels relatively soon, in the next 6 months, I'd say, you'd think they'd be doing everything possible to sort out the Strait of Hormuz business as soon as possible, but that doesn't really seem to be happening. We seem to be stuck in the same place we have been from the beginning, which is Iran's not budging and America's just Trump is continuing to swear on social media and bang his head against a brick wall.
Yeah.
And just wait it out and see what happens. But it's pretty obvious what's likely to happen, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, what is the game? What is the strategy there? Like, if it is the case that you have a limited supply of stockpiles and there's a conflict that is causing you to dip into those reserves, you would think that it would be in your interest to then intervene in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But
what can they do?
But that's the thing. Is like, what
are you gonna do? China gonna bomb Iran? I tell you what, Trump, we'll bomb Iran with you. We'll sort them out.
Trump has expressed such a wish about China coming to help. Remember, with reopening the strait.
Yeah.
No, if anything, in fact, I mean, the U.S. accusations against China are probably more accurate. That Iran has key satellite and ISR help from China or Russia, they're not sure who exactly, that enables them to have such precise hits on US bases as far away as Jordan, you know, right down to the specific building.
Mm-hmm.
And that they can improve that accuracy in just a few months. It's remarkable.
Not improve it, they started giving it to them.
Right, outright.
They didn't have it at the beginning, but then that decision was made to provide that information to them. And that, to me, suggests maybe that China, if it's China that's providing the bulk of it, China just decided that they're putting their bets on the Americans backing down. That they can't do anything about it themselves, but that they're going to, the most likely, as far as they're concerned. I mean, in their own interest as well, because they're not impartial. There'd be, ideally, they would like Iran to have leverage, have increased leverage over the Middle East, because that gives Iran as an ally of China, or gives China as an ally of Iran more leverage as well over global oil markets. So they would support that, but not at the expense of the global economy. So, but they can't do anything about that because the Americans aren't backing down. So it seems to me that they've, to the extent that the Chinese get directly involved in these kind of things, they've decided that they're going to help Iran, and they've helped them significantly to put that kind of pressure on the Americans to ultimately force the Americans to back down and to walk away. And it's a bit of a long shot,
and they're betting on
Trump. Well, it's the only thing. It's the only possible outcome that they can see. The only thing that they can influence in any direction.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that they know it's going to happen. That's what they're trying to put weight on to resolve the conflict. They're not going to tell Iran, because they probably can't. Iran would just say, "Look, China, we like you and all, but take a hike. Like we're not moving here. Like, you know, we're not walking away from the leverage that we have over the strait right now. So we're keeping that. That's for keeps."
Mm-hmm.
And so what you could do is you could help us, instead of trying to get us to back down and give up the leverage that we've gained over the Strait of Hormuz. Why don't you help us by giving us more accurate targeting capabilities, so that we can put more pressure on America and force them to back down? What do you want us to back down for? They're the ones who got into this war. They're the ones who started this war. They're the ones who should back down. Why don't you help us to get them to back down? How can we help you to get them to back down? Give us more satellite data and intel on American military bases, and
probably key parts for
parts for missiles, all that kind of stuff, whatever. Yeah. And that way, that's the best chance you have of getting this thing solved.
All right. Well, okay. So running with that for a minute, you got, you know, much discussion, much talk has been had about Taiwan and China and blah blah blah. So if the Chinese do see that as a possibility and they want to do something to try and not prevent it, but like make such a conflict as favorable to them as they can, then it makes sense to Iran by proxy use up American military hardware in its own kind of quagmire pre hot war in Taiwan, assuming that such a thing was ever on the table.
Yeah, I suppose if it's pure military realpolitik, pure power politics, China's looking at what's happened over the long term. Well, the empire used Ukraine against Russia. The empire used the Hamas situation and Palestinians for following October 7th for getting Iran.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably next in the sequence. So maybe
it's that whole talk about they're not. There's no war with China happening. Like, you joking me? They can't even deal with Iran. Like,
yeah,
China has whatever 1 billion people. Like,
yeah,
I mean, and massive military and military tech probably way as advanced, if not probably more advanced than America's. What are they going to do? Sail some aircraft carriers over there and block the Malacca Straits?
Well, they were dumb enough to think
sleeping with the fishes.
They were dumb enough to think they could overthrow Putin, and they were dumb enoh to think that they could
and they found
overthrow the Iranian government.
And they found out that they can't.
Why wouldn't they be dumb enough to think they can overthrow China?
Well, I don't think they're that dumb because, I mean...
I don't know.
I mean...
They're that committed.
Well,
they're pretty committed.
Well, the thing is...
They should be committed to an asylum.
They're still selling vast quantities of weapons to the Europeans to give to Ukraine.
Yeah.
For free. And they're sending vast amounts of ordnance and military capabilities over to Israel and towards Iran, and they're still doing both of those things. So they're going to open another front in China against 1 billion people with a massively advanced military. Go ahead. I'd like them to do it. Yeah, go ahead. It's ridiculous, and that doesn't even consider the economic aspects. Mm-hmm. Like Trump is hoisted on his own petard here, but primarily Trump can't get out of this Iran quagmire primarily for economic reasons, because the economic repercussions that would result if he were to try to finish the war.
Yeah,
and he knows that now. So what's he going to do with China? Is he going to bomb China? And then what happens? What kind of economic blowback do you think that would cause? Like, I mean, it probably wouldn't be economic necessarily initially, in the sense that China would just blow up all your American ships, and that would be the end of it. And then there might not be any economic consequences, apart from economic consequences for America. But no, it's just ridiculous. The whole contention, the idea that America would go to war with China is ridiculous.
It would never be toe-to-toe, but somehow it's proxy via Taiwan and or the Philippines or something like that. But
well, China has
Korea.
China has
or Japan.
China has well, they'd have to get South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan all to attack China all at once, with America giving them an attaboy.
Or to come liberate Taiwan after China.
China has rehearsed invading Taiwan. They would invade Taiwan in about 40 minutes.
Yeah,
and it would be done.
Well, they said that about Moscow and Kiev, but
Taiwan's a lot smaller than Ukraine.
Yeah.
And none of them are interested in doing that. So, yeah, I think that's not on the horizon. It's America has extended itself and already, too much. And is reaping the benefits, reaping the whirlwind. They've sown the wind and they're reaping the whirlwind. They've exposed themselves as being unable to actually follow through and complete and to achieve goals that they have set themselves, i.e. take down Russia by invading Ukraine, take down Iran and make the Middle East safe for Israel. Neither of those have happened and are not going to happen. And America is sitting there with a giant, 12-pack of free-range eggs on his face. And everybody just is looking at Trump's just sitting there with eggs all over his face, and he just keeps talking, and everybody's looking and going, dude, everybody sees what's going on, like. And, the best they have is like Bill O'Reilly or something. Get Bill O'Reilly out and tell us what he would do if he was president.
Yeah, I saw that.
Bill O'Reilly would tell the people of Tehran that they have to leave.
Drop leaflets.
Drop
leave.
leaflets. He's Vietnam. He's stuck in. He's having flashbacks to Nam. I don't even think he was in Nam, but he's having flashbacks to reporting on Nam.
Yeah.
About how he said, I'd send in some Hueys and drop leaflets, and we'd get them Iranians, Persians, whatever they're called.
The Persian Kong.
Persian Kong. I'd tell them to get out of their tunnels or get in their tunnels, get out of Tehran, and I'd just bomb the crap out of that place. I'd turn the whole place into a glass parking lot. That's what I would do. And I'm like, that's why you're not the president, Bill. That's why you're a 2-bit. Has been. Blowhard anchor. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty dire.
It's pretty dire, but it's pretty dire to try and keep track of and predict.
Something else that happened this week.
But at least it's not actually happening.
Yeah.
It's almost like a more constrained, localized version of MAD, where
it's economic MAD.
The military potential keeps the peace-ish.
This happened during the week as well, and I suspect it was the Iranians or maybe Iraqi militias, whatever, but this is Trump was vowing very hard responses to a lot of things this week. One other thing was that he was vowing a very hard response after a drone hit a US-owned LNG tanker in a port, Egyptian port. The drone strike targeted the Energos winter LNG tanker.
So it's US owned, and it's
US owned LNG, and this is, I'm assuming it was Iran or some proxies of Iran, basically saying like, this isn't just about like you kind of attacking us and then us threatening to blow up the Gulf state refineries and stuff. I know, you Americans have benefited from this because the shortage of oil and gas out of the Middle East because of your attack on us has benefited you greatly, because a lot of ships are heading over to America to get LNG. And but the thing about it is you're benefiting from that, and you obviously see that as benefit. Some people would say that's part of the reason you actually did it in the first place, in order to like redirect oil and gas demand to America away from the Middle East. But a lot of the stuff you're sending is going to Europe, in these big LNG tankers and oil tankers as well. And as you know, there's been a kind of tanker war in a certain sense has begun, where various oil tankers are being interdicted or being attacked. So surely you realize that your LNG tankers directly owned by America are also for a game in this business. So, you're getting all these orders from Europe, for example, for American LNG rather than Middle Eastern LNG. And they have to pass through the Gibraltar Straits and come into the Mediterranean to supply like France, Italy, Eastern Europe, Greece, Israel even. And that puts them within our range. And have you ever wondered what would happen if one of those liquefied natural gas tankers were to explode? You don't want to know.
Big boom.
If it happened in a port, you're talking about, you remember that Beirut explosion?
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about something like that. If it's sitting at a port beside a city,
pressurized,
you're talking about that kind of blast wave.
Yeah.
So that's another...
Well, they can complain about it all they want, but I could have told you years ago that this whole strategy was short-sighted, attacking other people's ships. Like, at some point, you can't just keep landing on, confiscating, pirating, sinking, droning Russian ships, and expect there's not going to be an equal response.
Well,
I'm not suggesting this with Russia, but if this keeps up, it will be.
Well, in that article, if you put that one back up, Scotty, it's kind of interesting wording. US President Donald Trump vowed a very hard response after a drone struck a US-owned liquefied natural gas tanker at Egypt's Mediterranean port of Damietta on Wednesday, raising concerns of the expansion of regional tensions into key maritime infrastructure, i.e. tanker wars. Asked by reporters at the White House whether Iran was behind the attack, Trump said he had been briefed on the incident and described it as a little more of the same. adding that the situation would be addressed. We're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn to hit them.
He said that a few times.
They know it's coming. This is in advance of him tackling.
Yeah.
Why? My God. Can someone just take him away? Like, remove him from the stage? Like,
no, sorry. 2 more years to go. Oh, 1.5.
You know, so he's been briefed and he was going
2028, baby.
He's been briefed and apparently it was Iran. And yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw the news about it, I was like, yeah, that's Iran just sending a message and saying, hey, your LNG tankers, your precious tankers that you're making lots of money off.
Even in other seas.
Shipping them over to Europe and stuff, or for a game. So Trump is very angry. Very unhappy about that.
Well,
so
she lived by the drone and the sword.
Yep. So speaking of Strait of Hormuz, not the Strait of Hormuz. I mentioned the Strait of Gibraltar.
Have you seen footage of what happened?
I've seen some, yeah.
I've seen some. So you've seen tens of thousands of people crossing,
and then going back home
from Morocco to Ceuta. Is that how you pronounce it? Ceuta. It's a little Spanish enclave, one of 2 in Morocco since olden times. It's bonkers. I mean, they're not sure exactly how many, but up to 75,000 migrants stormed the border, overwhelmed the border guards, and they just said, well, come on in. They gave up trying to police them. Some of them swam over, some of them just ran straight in. What became clearly apparent, at least to sleuths on X, I don't know how the mainstream, if they even noticed it, but on the Moroccan side, they were busing people, or putting them in trailers and trucks and everything. And there was police presence as well. They were definitely encouraged. The other kind of telltale sign that this was not migrants. I mean, they just said that obviously the right-wing media screamed, tens of thousands of African migrants. So people immediately think of the boatloads of black people from sub-Saharan Africa coming up to Libya. No, these were all Moroccans, and they were all lads, and they'd no young guys. They'd no bags or anything. Like you said, they were gone home by the evening, most of them.
Yeah, there's a video here just sent Scotty. This is the... You can just play it there. This is... we don't need the music. That's a spontaneous...
carnival of...
Spontaneous influx of desperate people.
Just literal truckloads.
Somehow. It's just spontaneous. Each individual just decided to do it,
Yeah. One guy was like, you know what, I want to go, but I want to go in a truck.
Yeah.
And
you all want to go in a truck with me? Yeah, let's all get in. Well, how can we get a truck? So... Anyway...
Ceuta is small. It's really just one city. So they wrecked the place. I mean, they basically went home because they had nowhere to stay and no food. And mind you, they did loot stores. They chucked a load of rocks and everything at police, and they wrecked the place, and then they left. This is obviously a stunt.
Yeah. Well,
so it's not a migrant wave.
No, I mean it's
a giveaway.
They couldn't even deny it in the mainstream media. This is even in the Telegraph, although they got it from Spanish media. Morocco facilitated migrant crossings into Spain.
Okay.
Morocco facilitated the sudden influx of 60,000 migrants into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta, Western intelligence sources suspect. Sources told the Telegraph that the surge could have served as a punishment amid diplomatic frustrations with Spain. Moroccan officials are believed to be frustrated with Pedro Sanchez, the socialist prime minister of Spain, over his pursuit of gas deals with rival Algeria. Morocco previously funneled 8,000 people into Ceuta in 2021 following a dispute with Madrid over the sovereignty of Western Sahara, which preceded a sudden policy change in Spain.
Right.
So,
gas and Western Sahara are probably key to this.
And it's what did they say in that article? what they say. Morocco facilitated, but that's a general term, I suppose. But that story, I think, actually comes from the Spanish press. There's an article in El Español, which is more explicit and says that the Guardia Civil, basically the Spanish police, detected intelligence agents, Moroccan intelligence agents among the migrants that invaded Ceuta. So the Guardia Civil detected via cameras that had been that were positioned across the city. They detected the presence of agents of the Moroccan Service of Information, I suppose, intelligence agents, who were infiltrated among the groups. So this was absolutely the same thing. But again, it's happened before, right? Just this was a bigger,
Mm-hmm.
a larger number of people, but the problem is that it can't just be associated with the previous one where there was. Well, it can to some extent, but it seems to be it's possible there's more to it because, I mean, in that article, in the Telegraph article, they said that the last time it happened, there was a dispute over the Western Sahara, and basically the Spaniards allowing a leader of the Western, what's the name of the Polisario.
He let their leader come to Spain
for medical treatment, and that was enough for the Moroccans to get really mad and open their borders. And like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the worst thing possible to you. We're going to let our people into your country.
I know. What does it say about the kind of regime and how they see their own people?
I know, yeah.
Morocco is a basket case. It's a bizarre country. It always has been, in my view. But
let's do the worst possible thing we could do to them. Send our people into their city. Ew, imagine. It's like, hang on, don't you have your people in your city? Is that not what do you... Anyway. Yeah, we want rid of them, all of them. They're horrible people. These people we rule over.
No, those were all doctors and engineers with their families.
Yeah, let's send them all our doctors and engineers. That'll really annoy them. So there's that historical thing with Western Sahara, which basically is a disputed, officially recognized as
it's officially
independent.
Yes. Most African Union countries see it as an independent country.
Right. But
however, key Western countries, de facto, including the US since just May this year,
right.
Trump has vocally said they consider the southern strip below Morocco to be Moroccan sovereign territory now. Algeria has the most ardent antagonism regarding this. They do not want Morocco to get bigger. Population-wise, it wouldn't change much. It's very sparsely populated, but it would there's a huge territory. It would almost double Morocco's territorial size. And the two are strong rivals. Algeria and Morocco is the real spat here, the real local spat. It's not even Spain, Morocco, I don't think. Algeria has long supported this separatist movement, long considered because they were one of the wave of countries that decolonized, in their case, from Spain in the 1950s.
Morocco.
No, this Polisario movement.
Polisario, yeah.
The SADR, which stands for the Sahrawi People Democratic Republic or something like that. And they still de facto control about a third of the country, but just a strip that's closest to the Sahara. All the ports and major cities are controlled by Morocco. It's an interesting parallel. They talk about it in terms of an occupation, and a resistance to an occupation. And it's tamped down. You don't hear much of actual firefights or resistance and so on. But Morocco's very sensitive about it. They were so sensitive that they sent a few thousand Moroccan punks across the border in 2021, just because Spain let in the leader for medical treatment of this movement. But they also severed diplomatic relations with Algeria over this as recently as 4 years ago. Although de facto their borders, they have a hard border. Nobody crosses in between Morocco and Algeria. It's really trenchant, that rivalry.
And so there's multiple aspects to this, as a result of the restrictions on in the oil and gas out of the Strait of Hormuz, Spain has recently, it has always for a long time it has received oil from Algeria, and it has
especially gas
from Algeria, and it has recently, like you were saying earlier on, it has recently asked for it asked the Algerian government to increase the.
Well, days after Trump first said, right, that's it, I'm not happy with Spain. This was in March this year.
Right.
I'm not happy with Spain. We're cutting all trade with them.
Mm-hmm.
The Spanish went and had a conversation with the Algerians.
Mm-hmm.
There's an existing pipeline that goes under the Med. There's two, in fact. There's a whole story there. But the direct one between Algeria and Spain delivers like 40% of Spain's gas.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's sold on to the European market.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to Algiers government and said, "Can you dial it up?" And they said, "We'll do it, but the pipe's already at maximum capacity. We can pressurize it a bit more, and you'll get some more." So they're trying to get as much as they can directly from Algeria, and that happened days after Trump said, threatened them.
Yeah, and Italy too. Italy gets gas from.
There's another pipeline going to Italy via Sardinia,
via Sicily.
Yeah. There's another one in the works. Anyway, Algeria is. Maybe we'll pull up. Can I put up a map of pipelines existing and planned? This is where the story gets.
But there's one of the pipelines that goes to Spain. I think it goes over to Tarifa there and right on the Straits of Gibraltar. Comes from Algeria and goes through Morocco.
Correct. So, hang on a sec. I'll just send Scotty the map. We can put it up. So the timeline here broadly over the last few decades on Pipelineistan in North Africa. So that's the yellow one. Initially, the first one that was built is the yellow one. So that's going from Algeria's main gas field area. You see it there, Hassi Armey or something. And they allowed transit through Morocco. And it's the easiest, shortest underground undersea route because it just goes through the strait there into Spain. This was built in the 90s. It's pretty sizable, 12 billion cubic meters per year. But something must have had, the Algerians must have had second thoughts in the meantime, because they built the second one, which is the blue one that goes direct from Algeria to Spain, and it was completed by 2011. In the interim, when Algeria formally severed relations with Morocco in 2018, they also announced, by the way, we're not renewing our contract. That yellow gas pipeline, the first one, is empty. It's not being used. So that put Morocco on notice as well, big time. And instead, Spain and Algeria deal directly. So that's part. This is part of the reason why Morocco and Spain are having a spat, because.
And that red one's coming from Nigeria. The one going south through Algeria, right?
That's another story.
That's going to Nigeria. That's coming from Nigeria.
That's coming from Nigeria's gas fields up, and it's connecting into Algeria's network and then on to the European market. That's not built yet. This one was planned even earlier. This should have been up and running.
What do you mean it's not built yet? Well, the one from Nigeria is built.
No, the Trans-Saharan isn't. It was supposed to be operational by 2015. But then, lo and behold, Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb springs out of the fucking wells in the desert. And you've got a shitstorm with, we all remember that, the French intervene and they have their 10-year Burkina Operation Burkina, to deal with Al-Qaeda terrorists spreading through the Maghreb. So that put the kibosh on that for the moment. As recently as June, Nigeria and Algeria have met and tried to revive that project, and they insist that construction will now go ahead. But it's weird. Not weird. It's a hell of a coincidence that oops, a terrorist uprising put paid to what would have been an awesome project for both countries and then the European market for both Nigeria and because Nigeria currently relies fully on exporting by sea and therefore converting to LNG any of its gas, right? Oil it can just ship as is. There's another one. It's not actually included here. That was just announced last week. It's been talked about for a while, but the countries put their signature to it. This will be one coming from the same area as fields in Nigeria. By coming around the coast of West Africa,
there's a lot of countries.
I know it's huge.
Why go around that way?
Because you avoid
the
jihadi situation.
The American and French jihadis.
Because
jihadi.
Yes, you have to bypass that. So it's going to be mostly offshore, but hugs the West African coast, and then it's supposed to come onshore in Western Sahara, and then up through Morocco. And Morocco, which has as yet no pipelines of its own to Europe, but will probably tap it into this yellow one, can then pipe it onto Europe. And you get an alternative that further isolates Algeria economically, because they don't like the status quo where Algeria is the big chief economically vis-a-vis the European market. They're trying to change that. And who's they? Well, it's many parties. Obviously, Morocco. I think Israel. Israel and Morocco's cooperation is bizarre for a Muslim majority country. It's like Abraham Accords, full-on strategic partnership, full intelligence sharing. There's a lot of dirty stuff that goes on between them, and not just in recent years either. So Israel would have it out, always has had it out for Algeria, because it's the largest Arab country, at least in North Africa. And probably because of this economic status quo, Algeria would be not signing on to the Abraham Accords. It would generally be pro-Palestine. I mean, they all are formally, but Morocco isn't. The Moroccan regime doesn't give a damn at all. So there are other intrigues here as well. I don't know how much credit to give this, but when Morocco severed diplomatic relations with Iran in 2018, it did so because it claimed it uncovered evidence that Iran, via Hezbollah, was sending weapons to this Polisario front. There's never been any proof for it, but in December 2023, an IRC general on Iranian TV glibly boasted, without any evidence to support or how they would do it, that, we can also shut off the Strait of Hormuz, or the Gibraltar Strait. And then maybe that got people paranoid and stuff. Certainly the Moroccans would be paying attention to that, because I think the Sawari people are majority Shia. There's another Shia-Sunni split in Western Sahara. But anyway, they're ideologically, they are, if you look at their flag, it's basically the Palestinian flag with the crescent star. These are old school kind of pan-Arabists. They would have had affinity with Yasser Arafat's PLO. They're cut from the same cloth. Old school lefty nationalist liberal secular Arab movement. So Algeria has always supported them, I suppose, for ideological reasons, but also to keep a check on Morocco, because Morocco is de facto in control of it. Well, stuff like this pipeline can happen and shaft its own access to the European market. And the Israelis, I know, the Israeli media had multiple reports on the announcement of this deal for not the Trans-Saharan one is the one that got nixed by Al-Qaeda appearing out of, sand dunes. What do they call it? It's something West African pipeline. There's already the beginnings of it, because there's a pipeline that plugs into some of Nigeria's neighbors, but it would be a massive extension all the way around that western side of Africa and plugging it into a country which Western Sahara is really poor. I don't know how they plan to do that logistically. But so you'd think to yourself, well, okay, maybe in 25 years that'll be operational. That's no threat now. But there's massive money behind it, and they expect it to be operational by 2030 or 4 or 5 years. It's a huge length. It's some 4,000 kilometers to go around the West Africa and then plug it into Morocco. But
so the thing, so there's multiple factors here in terms of, we're speaking specifically about, just to remind where we started off here, was that basically Morocco uses immigration as a weapon against Spain because...
Well, but the last time, because Spain just let in the leader of resistance movement,
and this time
in a country it covets. This time, well, that Telegraph write-up just simply said because of Spain's gas connections with Algeria and its general ongoing support for the Western Sahara separatist movement.
Right.
Was the specific item that preceded this? I didn't find. I don't know of one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why many people online are jumping past Morocco and saying it's Israel, because there is a proximate geopolitical reason. The Israelis are pissed with Spanish support for Palestinians.
But also the Americans are not happy, obviously, about the Trump being critical of Spain and for denying Americans access to Spanish bases or Spanish military bases to attack Iran. This guy, Cuban-American congressman, Rob, what's his name?
I don't recognize him.
Yeah, anyway, he's Ceuta and Melilla are not in Spain. So this is from just this year, actually, May this year.
Mario Diaz.
Yeah, he comes out, makes a statement. If you just go right on that next one, go to the next image. Diaz-Balart's territorial provocation does not exist in a vacuum. It arrives in the heels of two incendiary op-eds by Michael Rubin, a former Pentagon official and senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute.
Zionist.
In his March 12 piece, Rubin urged Trump and Rubio to formally recognize Ceuta and Melilla as occupied Moroccan territory, branding Spain a colonial power running colonies across the Strait of Gibraltar. He dismissed Madrid's sovereignty claims with a single sentence: neither maps nor history lie. 4 days later, Rubin escalated further, invoking the spirit of the 1975 Green March and calling on Morocco to dispatch unarmed civilians into the enclaves.
Wow. Okay, so that's further than what the State Department...
He argued that NATO would have no legal basis to intervene, citing Article 6 of the Washington Treaty. Taken together, contours of a coordinated pressure campaign against Spain's remaining colonial footholds in Africa are becoming increasingly difficult to dismiss as coincidence. Correct. And the next one, no, I think that's the same one. Yeah, that's the same one. If you go to the next one after that, actually, the language embedded in pages 86 and 87 of a document produced by the House Appropriations Committee in late April this year goes further than any prior American institutional pronouncement on the matter. It states that the committee notes that the Spanish-administered cities of Ceuta and Melilla are located in Moroccan territory and remain the subject of Morocco's long-standing claim. It then declares support for the Secretary of State's efforts to encourage diplomatic engagement between Morocco and Spain on the future status. So, yeah.
That emerged from nowhere this year. Because it's long been accepted, at least in the West.
But it didn't emerge from nowhere. It emerged from the fact that Spain had not signed on to Trump attacking Iran.
Right. Yeah.
And denying them access to the bases.
Yes.
Like I just said.
And separately or, I'm not saying it's exclusive, beginning in 2023, blocking where they could, if they found out about them, any shipments of arms onwards to Israel. At Spanish ports, at which point Morocco piped up and said, hey, no problem, come on over here. I kid you not, the Muslim majority country said, that's fine, bring it here. But yes, that is clearly, Trump has said it this year, said it twice. He said it on July 8th at the NATO summit in Ankara. Spain is a terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate, they don't pay. I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please, including visits. He addresses Scott Bessent. And let's see how hostile they remain when they call up and they say, please, we want to trade with you, sir.
Right.
Trump.
Yeah. So that's the American angle, obviously. And then obviously the Israeli angle is that Israel isn't happy with, Spain either, because Spain has been quite outspoken about, calling for Netanyahu to be arrested for genocide and all that kind of stuff, and being generally pro-Palestinian. So the Israelis are, would be fully behind causing problems for Spain as well. And in fact, this week when this thing went down, the new the Spanish transport minister, Oscar Puente, responded to a guy, Danny Danon, who's I think he's a spokesman, Israeli spokesman or something. He said, the Israeli guy said, Spain, which never misses an opportunity to lecture Israel, has declared a state of emergency in Ceuta following the crisis over its immigration policy. And the Spanish transport minister said, replied to that tweet by saying, well, things are starting to get pretty clear.
Well, interesting. That's shots across the bow. It's been a very interesting little episode because whatever about the insinuation there, I suppose, is clearly that we think you Israel have a hand in this. But broadening out, it's the US, it's Israel, it's Morocco, it's a connivance. I don't know. Do we know of another instance where we have such clear, where the case for directed mass migration is clear? Because it was suspected this last decade.
Was Orban accused? No. This is probably 10 years ago. Erdogan made a reference to countries using immigration as a weapon.
Okay.
That was around the time there was a lot of mass migration after, basically 2015, the Germans started taking everybody in. But just to stay on the Israeli angle as well, this is from April, bizarrely, so quite a long time before this. This is Ynet News. Abraham Accords reach the Strait. How Israel can help Morocco reclaim its north. US, Spain, tensions over NATO. Iran create opening for Morocco to press claims on Ceuta and Melilla, with Israel positioned to back Rabat diplomatically with US-led alliance that increasingly favours cooperative partners over European holdouts.
Yeah.
European holdouts.
Yeah.
Surrender monkeys, not supporting us in our wars.
Yeah.
So the Israelis were all over that from the get-go,
One more data on Israel. Well, I've two, but we won't play one, but recall that Bibi had a televised address in Hebrew, but people clipped it and they probably find it again. This was in April, lambasting Spain. Basically, he recalled the ambassador, I think, and vice versa, and he barred them from some intelligence sharing agreement that Spain had. But separately, his son, 6 years ago, said this. I don't know how much weight to give this, because obviously his son is not really, power player. But if you scroll up, that's actually the last of a kind of chain he posted. Again, it's from 2019, but it kind of maybe shows you that this has clearly passed through the minds of some Israelis. Dear Arabs and Muslims, Yair Netanyahu posts in 2019, want to free occupied Arab Islamic lands? Here's a good start. Post map of the 2 Spanish enclaves in the north of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Dear Spanish people, the second post, I see you all got upset. Ceuta and Melilla are tiny territories you own across the sea on another continent. Now imagine how we feel when your government calls for Israel to give away Judea and Samaria, aka Palestine. Oh, he said West Bank, which is the Jewish heartlands, blah, 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 blah. And it's a place. But it's his last. If you scroll down, this is the last in that thread. Let's make a deal. We won't fund NGOs in your country, Spain, calling you to give away Ceuta and Melilla, and you will stop funding NGOs in our country that calls us to give away Judea and Samaria. Namely, that would be a reference to, I guess, Spanish support for just UNRWA, whoever was helping.
There's a kind of crucial difference in the fact that no Moroccans were displaced from Ceuta and Melilla.
Yeah.
Spain isn't, and even if there were a bunch of people there, Spain isn't and probably wouldn't be committing a genocide against all those Moroccans in the occupied parts of Morocco, right? None of that's happened, So obviously, you don't expect someone like the spawn of Netanyahu to have any concern for facts or
details.
But yeah, it's just obviously bullshit, you know. So yeah, but yeah, and anyway, that like I think it was.
There's a couple of things that are being played out.
Yeah, although like it doesn't even make any sense because I think Melilla and Ceuta. Melilla was taken by Spain, Castilla, whatever, in like 1497 or something like that, in 1500, like so. 400 years ago, 500 years ago, which is like a long time before there was any Moroccan Alawite or Moroccan dynasty, basically. You know what I mean? So, like, there was no. It's way back in history. You know what I mean? It's not a modern thing where it was stolen from the modern Moroccan ruling dynasty. Right? It wasn't taken from them. Neither Ceuta or Melilla. I think Ceuta was actually originally Portuguese. So it was all, you know, it goes back so far in history that if any comparison with anything going on today is relevant. You know what I mean? You can't. It's like it's almost like it's the whole thing that people laugh about historical reparations. You know, going back 500-600 years ago. You know what I mean? Like your ancestors did this to my people, and therefore you owe me this land now. You know, that's very different from Israel 80 years ago. Taking and you know and there being Palestinians who are still alive today who were displaced by
shot
Israel
and pushed out physically.
And then obviously the whole genocide and slaughter and that kind of thing. It's just obviously it's not comparable at all in any way, shape or form. So
and isn't it dizzying that you get to hear the leftist / woke / anti-colonial viewpoint from the mouth of the most far right-wing Israeli possible, the son of Netanyahu,
No.
when it suits what we want.
But that's obvious. Like the people
it's the same,
no integrity whatsoever.
And a strong insinuation that they fund NGOs in your country, so education
to deliberately
books,
destabilize
get lefties in there all riled up, but also get righties because they were able to. They tried, they failed. I mean, the media could see through it, even the MSM, but they wanted this to cause. The political value of doing a stunt like this isn't really that 60,000 people are about to reach your shores. It's that you rile everyone up about it and they panic and they're freaking out. Oh my God, more fucking migrants, you know? And the left and the right are at each other.
And that's
again.
what happened. Like, and they all went back home. Well, people were still screaming. People on Twitter were still screaming about, oh, look, this is immigration. See what Spain's doing with immigration, letting all the people in. They had all been... They're all back. They just came for a day trip.
Yeah, basically. They just went for the day trip. So, like, to your point, Neil, about the hypocrisy of it, one of the after effects of this flash in the pan was, or has been, Maloney calling for getting Spain out of the Schengen visa travel
free travel area
agreement. And Finland signed on, and there was like 4 or 5 other like EU or European countries.
I have the map.
Oh, you do?
Scotty's just going to put it up.
Go for it.
It's worse than you think. Maloney, her comments got published, but basically everywhere in green wants to basically close border with Spain. France in the end said, actually, no, that's too much. And Ireland, thank God.
And Portugal.
And Portugal.
Obviously.
This to me speaks to the unorganized, high level, beyond what we just saw, obviously, with police escorts taking the kids to the border. This kind of fake reaction to what was obviously a flash in the pan fake stunt.
Exactly.
Like, let's further isolate Spain. Spain, you're bad.
Yeah.
God almighty.
No, and that's
EU solidarity, like, fuck.
Again, to your point, every single one of those fucking countries have let in how many migrants in
Germany?
Germany for one.
A few million.
Italy as well.
Well, Italy way more than Spain.
In 1 year.
But twice as much as Spain.
Yeah.
But Maloney has the balls to turn around and...
No, that's what
she's
got me about it.
She's so stupid that she doesn't see that as a stunt, that it's not actually Spain letting them in.
Yeah.
And they're not even in Spain.
They can't.
They're not even in a Schengen area. Ceuta isn't part of the Schengen agreement. It's not part of Spain, effectively.
No.
So, and she gets all worked up about it. What's that all about?
Yeah.
And that's what
smoking too much pizza.
That's what made me think that there was, like you were saying, something more coordinated behind it, and as far as this reaction goes, because it was within like 24 hours that a lot of these people started leaving on their own already.
That evening.
Yeah. So within 24 hours, they were already a lot of them starting to leave. So why this like sudden, strong moral backlash out of something that was already rectifying itself? It made no sense unless it was intended to be something that was, a bulwark that you would use to
isolate
the
Spanish government. And the State Department issued a number of statements, but here's one of the most despicable ones I found, because there's a double message in it. The United States stands with the people of Spain and all Europeans against this egregious violation of the sovereignty and human rights. This unacceptable incident is the direct result of the Spanish government's deliberate efforts to enable and facilitate mass illegal immigration into Europe. So we're with you, and it's your fault. Fuck you. And what they're playing on is the fact that the government, which happens to be a lefty one at the moment, but it's probably deeper than just that. But anyway, whatever. What they think, they think they can regime change Spain through the normal electoral means, that they're trying to weight the next electoral result being something more right wing, and just whatever Trump wants, what NATO wants, we'll go with it. They're trying to break the incipient signs of resistance that may extend beyond just Palestinians. This is where if you're an empire and you're paranoid. Okay, so we've been talking about Iran and what Trump's going to do at the furthest reaches of empires. Well, what about within your near space? You got to watch that too. We wondered, are they so paranoid that they're kind of looking at, well, Spain happens to be right there at another key global choke point.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that we talked about the Malaga Straits earlier on, but like so far we've had, there's obviously a few more. They're not really, I don't think they're not relevant choke points. The main very important energy transport choke points around the world are, we've already had 2 in play seriously over the past few months, past 6 months. Obviously the Strait of Hormuz, and now the Bab el-Mandeb Strait with the Houthis, and that kind of includes the Red Sea, the Suez Canal, which is close enough there, but it's basically part of the same thing. So those 2, and then now the Strait of Gibraltar has risen its ugly head. I don't think there's anything necessarily seriously going to happen there, but it's interesting that it just comes online, because then the only one we're missing, the 4th one of significant importance, is the Malaga Strait. So, but again, we know they've wargamed it, but I don't think there's anything going to happen there. It's too far away. But yeah, it's kind of funny to think that the Americans might be paranoid that Spain might have taken a lesson from Iran, about on the Strait of Hormuz, and Spain might be thinking, what if we mined the Gibraltar Straits? We could tell America that we have mined it, and that we know where the mines are, and we'll only give the mine map to ships that are nice to us. The ships of countries that are nice to us. Any people who say bad things about us will have to run the gauntlet. Gibraltar has become more important of our special. I read an overview written by some think tank. They claim that they can done the numbers, and just since March, as a result of 1.5 other straits, let's say, being shut down, traffic is up 10% through the Strait of Gibraltar. Yeah, it's coming from America into Europe. Yeah. That's what we're talking about the other week. Egypt, I suppose, saw with that tanker. American LNG is apparently going as far coming from everywhere the East Mediterranean. Yeah, coming from everyone anywhere in the Mediterranean that can supply oil or gas, or needs oil or gas. Obviously, it's both ways, right? That we're getting it beforehand. If you think about it, it's countries in the Mediterranean that previously were getting oil and gas from through the Strait of Hormuz, up the Red Sea, and to their ports within the Mediterranean. A lot of that has been, X amount of that has been cut off, obviously, because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the problem with the Bab el-Mandeb Straits. So, both purchasing import countries and export countries in the Mediterranean basin, basically, are shipping and receiving through the Strait of Gibraltar, to the extent that, to a greater extent than they were before, because of the shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz. So basically, you're talking about a lot of tankers, LNG tankers, oil tankers coming from America into the Mediterranean to supply France, maybe Spain even, but France, Italy, Eastern European countries, Greece, etc., and also North African countries, Algeria, maybe Egypt, whatever, to whatever extent they produce, are sending oil and gas tankers. Well, oil tankers probably primarily, or gas, maybe gas as well. But that's mainly by pipeline, so probably mainly oil tankers. From there to within the Mediterranean basin, and also out through the Strait of Gibraltar to west coast of France, UK, and the Baltics. So that traffic has increased. That's a 10% increase in traffic.
Yeah,
both ways.
Well, there was an interesting statement from Putin a few days ago where he said, look at what's happening in the Middle East. Iran's fleet of Mosquito speedboats has proven to be effective. We are also developing similar capabilities. If Spain's not paying attention, they're missing a perfect opportunity.
Skeeters. Skeeter boats.
I tried to game that out for Spain going full around, but it's just not going to happen. They're in NATO. They're locked in. I think they just like to be. It might be fleeting. The US might get its way, and it might be a not so difficult government as Trump wants in Madrid, and that's the end of it. But still, it's an important spot, and that's why the Brits to this day own Gibraltar. Which, gets in Spain's craw as well. And if you look on the map, it's not the narrowest point of the strait, but Gibraltar and Ceuta are directly facing each other, directly north-south. One other fact that those American LNG tankers helping Europe, given the problem with Russian gas, and now the Strait of Hormuz.
You're stepping in to help a friend in need.
Where do they go to transform their liquid gas into gas that's piped through Europe?
Who?
Overwhelmingly. Well, 40% of all EU capacity. Those American tankers are going to Spanish ports.
Yeah, for the
40% of all conversion. EU's gas from the United States goes to Spain. Because it has to be converted there.
Converted into gas from liquid.
So Trump's obviously bluffing then when he says no more trade with Spain, because then the EU really doesn't get anything energy-wise from east to west. But it's bluff and bluster, of course, from Trump. Structurally, the US depends on Spain to get its LNG into the European market.
Did you see the date on this? I ain't got no date. 7 days ago. No. That's 11 days ago. I just thought this was funny. It's about Venezuela, talking about oil and gas and those kind of wars. Trump administration seeks to shield Venezuela's Delcy Rodriguez from $314 million US judgment. Trump administration has intervened in a federal lawsuit involving Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, arguing that she is protected by head of state immunity.
Oh, it counts, does it?
And should not be required to pay a $314 million judgment awarded to 3 Americans who were imprisoned in the South American country. And then...
That's farcical. Who were the Americans? Assassins?
Probably CIA or something, yeah. And then this week, Trump, just, again, the guy's fucking shameless. It's kind of like he has no class. Trump posted this on Truth Social.
51st state. He also did the Greenland meme again.
I know, but like Greenland's one thing because it's aspirational, but like Venezuela has been, taken over by America, at least for now, and for him then to just like, it's like you might have a bit of tact and pretend at least that you respect Venezuelan sovereignty and stuff like that, but just putting a big American flag on Venezuela after you've basically illegally abducted their president and put him in jail, and you bought off or threatened or blackmailed whatever the
rest of them
interim government, and it's just it's not classy at all. But then whoever said Trump was classy, right?
He's very hard to support.
He is, because he's just
even if you're trying to be impartial and understand where he's coming from and so on.
Yeah, but
it's because it's a grotesque kind of. In a way, you end up saying, those libs and Dems back in the day when they said he's just not presidential material.
Yeah, he's not.
They were right.
They were right. Yeah, they were right. This week as well, shock horror. Trump administration drops reflecting pool vandalism charge and admits botched repairs. Who could have guessed that? So U.S. prosecutors dropped charges against a former Olympian who has been accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C., saying the damage is now believed to be the result of flawed installation by the contractor, who happened to be in a no-bid contract given to one of Trump's friends, who basically charged $17 million for draining the pool, giving the bottom a bit of a wash, and then buying the cheapest Chinese epoxy paint and slapping it on there for about, probably, I don't know, maybe it cost $1 million or something, then billing for $17 million.
He promised to unite and heal the country, and then he accuses someone who dipped their hand in.
Yeah.
Vandalism, and makes a big furore out of it.
And they accused, David Hearn, an Olympic canoeist, was facing a 10-year prison sentence if found guilty. He basically was just walking around there and decided to put his hand into the pool, to kind of feel the water or whatever, and somebody saw him, grabbed him, and he was like, they started a court case against him, and he was
facing 10 years
for defacing one of our national, and
all for something that doesn't look a damn bit different.
Yeah. In fact, it made it worse because it painted a darker color. It painted the bottom so it was a darker color blue because it was just stone beforehand, and that just made the sun heat it up more, which encouraged algae growth, so it just made it more of a swamp. So Trump not only didn't drain the swamp, he actually created one.
He worsened the swamp.
And then
there's
again,
some kind of symbolism there.
There is. I'm talking about shamelessness. I mean, regarding Trump. This is Marco Rubio with Trump talking about wanting to ban the International Criminal Court.
Oh yeah.
So just a couple points that we all know. We've followed in the news, obviously, the events in the Middle East, and others here can talk about that. Not that they're not important, but there's some other issues happening around the world, Mr. President, that you've shown great leadership in and have not gotten nearly as much attention. I think they deserve to mention today. The first is the International Criminal Court is an illegitimate international organization that, frankly, they've made themselves illegitimate because they claim that even if you're not a member of that court, they can come after you. And what that literally means in the future is that American servicemen, political leaders, and others could find themselves under indictment by this International Criminal Court. And if you want to know a little bit about it, Jack Smith used to work there. These are the people that think they can go out and basically indict any world leader and haul them into The Hague. So we tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't do it. They're very arrogant. We've now begun an effort to really try to bring that court to heel.
By the way, there's no information that they're after me. It could happen. But just so you know, just keep talking about it and saying that means that maybe he's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people. But there are many people that shouldn't be looked at that way. But there is no indication that I'm one of them at this moment.
Well, and I actually think the people who are in biggest danger in our system are servicemen, people in uniform. That they'll try to go out for the rest of their lives, will not be able to travel anywhere.
Blah blah. So
his foot in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always he said as much before in the past, whatever. But he just saying the same thing again. But it's interesting that they're condemning the International Criminal Court for this this body or this organization claims a right, basically, even for people who aren't a member of the International Criminal Court, or signatory countries aren't. They even people from those countries can be gone after by the International Criminal Court. So the very idea that some kind of an organization or group or country or whatever, a body of some description, would be able to go and indict, like say, a foreign leader and press charges, put charges against him, and then maybe you can go and abduct him and take him to prison, is just unthinkable.
Wait, haven't I heard this before?
Yeah, hang on. This happened, didn't it?
Didn't this happen like
Slobodan Milosevic?
Huh? I'm thinking a bit more recently, maybe.
Like this year, like January.
Oh, of course,
Venezuela,
Maduro. But they didn't even pretend that there was an international case.
No, I'm not talking about.
They claimed
the point is he's complaining that the International Criminal Court is some kind of a body that they know are not even a part of, that gives itself the right to go and levy charges, place charges against or accuse a leader of a country or anybody of wrongdoing, and then indict them and take them and abduct them to put them in prison. I mean, that's just ridiculous. These people have never heard the word hypocrisy. They don't know what it means. I mean, even when it's like screaming at them in their face, like it's bizarre. Lack of.
I suppose they square it away, or if they even think it crossed their mind, because they charged Maduro on U.S. national grounds, didn't they?
What different? Is that any different? It's our body. It's our body. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Some court, some authority deciding unilaterally that someone else, some other leader in these cases, because he talks specifically about Netanyahu, has done something wrong and therefore must face justice. That I've decided that, and I'm going to go and bring that person to justice. That concept is abhorrent. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and yet that's exactly what we did 6 months ago.
And like your point about it being American charges, further highlights it as like hypocritical horseshit, where you're holding a person who is not a citizen of your country to the standards of your country.
Exactly. And that's what he was complaining about.
Which by your own laws, then you need to extend to every other person on the world. And therefore, every other person in any capacity who's not an American citizen, who acts in the interest of their country, which isn't America, is therefore treasonous to the United States and therefore should be abducted and thrown in prisons.
Julian Assange. They wanted him on treason. It was ridiculous on the face of it, but they made it make sense legally, in quotes.
Yep. And talking about more hypocrisy,
it's disgusting.
You probably is something going back to Africa a little bit. We haven't really covered this much. The Africa Corps, the Russian military in Africa, particularly in Mali, have been going on for quite a while after the Malians kicked the French out, and the Russians moved in to help the Malian government to not be a quisling or not fall back under the sway of the French, and then of course suddenly talking about jihadis suddenly rise up in Mali.
I think this is connected to the pipelines issue.
Probably, for sure, and also resources in Africa and all that kind of stuff. But it's just interesting. I just thought that was interesting. Russian ship defies sanctions to send military vehicles to Mali. So Russian and Malian troops fighting against a rebel offensive. Note they're called rebels.
Terrorists.
They used to be terrorists when they're fighting French. If they're fighting French occupation of Mali, they're terrorists. If they're fighting a Russian occupation of Mali, they're rebels. A rebel offensive in northern Mali have been resupplied with a vast number of military vehicles that appear to have been delivered by a sanctioned cargo ship.
Oh. Internationally sanctioned.
Internationally sanctioned.
American sanctioned.
Well, same thing. Internationally sanctioned. Again, gets back to the ICC kind of thing as well. Yeah. So the fact that the BBC and all the media just come out with this idea of, not only are the Russians delivering military vehicles to their troops, I mean, unthinkable, right?
State aid. Who does
In
that?
Mali, African country. What are they even doing there? That's France's.
Preach.
Obviously.
Anyway, but not only are they out delivering military vehicles to this, illegal presence of Russian troops in Mali when it should be French troops in Mali, but they've done it in a sanctioned cargo ship. I mean, the gall.
That's double. That's
we
double crime.
explicitly said that
Nope.
ship was bad. That was a
Naughty ship.
naughty non-ship. That it shouldn't be on the high seas because we said so, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Russians have the audacity to continue to use it. Not only just sail it on the seas after we said it shouldn't be sailing at all, but to deliver military vehicles to Africa.
The means of war.
To support
Who does that?
the Malian government against lovely rebels supported by, and that, I mean, the question of where the lovely rebels are getting their military vehicles from is not something the BBC is interested in covering.
No.
That is not
Because
relevant.
however they're getting it, it's totally legitimate.
Yes.
Wankers.
They're all wankers.
Mm-hmm.
And they flip and they flop, and it's why the rule of law is dead. And they're the ones who pontificate about the rule of law. They destroyed it.
Mm-hmm.
The others genuinely, Russia really under Putin really did try to say, okay, so what are the goalposts, and we'll stick to those. What are the standards you're going with? We'll stick to those. Okay, we're sticking to them, and then they change. Okay, we'll change that. Same with China.
You mentioned Julian Assange, just in passing. He posted. He doesn't have a big account on X, really.
Yeah.
112,000. Thought he would have more. But anyway, he's just posted this. And Netanyahu did actually claim to be a descendant of Moses.
No.
He did.
A man who doesn't exist?
That's the world we live in. I don't know if you want to listen to him, but Netanyahu was speaking to...
Yeah, go on.
is it even English?
We're descendants from
Yeah.
the original Hebrews of the Holy Land. And we are the first part of that Judeo-Christian heritage which we cherish and which has given the world the civilization of freedom and faith. And again, we have to stand up and defend it. It's under attack from the rising tide of anti-Semitism and anti-evangelicalism, too. And it's not accidental that the two are coming under joint attack, because we are one. And what I ask you is only one thing. Stand up. Stand up. Don't cower. And, when you're faced with an attack, what do? Attack back. That's all.
Eye for an eye.
That's my long speech. And, I'm very grateful to you for your consistent support, for the constancy of your friendship. And now it's time to fight, fight, fight. That's it.
Kill more babies.
Look at all the...
right now against the dark side, the left,
The dark side.
the dark side. But
dark
by the grace
side.
of God, we're going to
Godless Muslims.
And Vivi's like,
Of course he's talking.
yes, that's a good guy. That's a good evangelical
That's a
boy.
good
He's basically
guy.
talking to a bunch of evangelicals in America, saying that we're hermanos, we're brothers. Don't forget our close ties. We're Judeo-Christian. We're the first part of that Judeo-Christian. So we're on first. If you know what I mean. Do you get what I'm saying? We're on first, Judeo-Christian.
And
You're our lackeys, basically, and
Yeah.
we give that civilization, we give the civilization and that religion to the world, and now we have to, we all have to stand together. All you fundy, proddy, Protestant type people in America, stick with Israel.
to the bitter end.
To
Now
bitter
let's
end.
go slaughter a red heifer.
Let's go slaughter some Palestinians.
Oh, so
See what they're doing to your people.
Oh, God, it just makes me sick.
Yeah, he was in the
Makes me
US
sick.
for Ladybug's funeral, wasn't he?
Yeah, old little ladybug. Who that was a funny moment.
He got a special send off, Ladybug. You do like an average senator wouldn't usually get that.
Yeah,
that level of ceremony and all that kind of stuff with all that.
Yeah. She was quite special.
She was a special lady.
She was a very special lady, that Ladybug.
It's when you love war
a
lot, more than anybody else.
Yeah.
When you're particularly evil, you get the best ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
They take care of their own, you know. So
I didn't think to grab it, unfortunately, but there was at one point when they were during the memorial when Trump was giving a speech in front of the congregation, I guess you'd say.
The coven, yeah.
He says that, you know, Lindsey Graham, he loved war. He loved war more than anybody. and you know, but he loved it because it was good for the country.
Yeah.
It was good. And then shortly after, oh God, what was his name? A Fox commentator, I can't remember his name, Hannity.
Oh, Hannity got up.
Yeah.
Gives
another little bit and says, you know, people have accused Lindsey Graham of being a war hawk. No, he was never. No, it was just these two contradictions.
Right.
Yeah. But speaking of, you see that? Can you see that thing behind me? It says arrest Dr. Fauci. That we got one step closer, but still so near, but yet so far. Probably never happened. But this week, Fauci finally appeared in front of Congress. He was subpoenaed to give testimony on, well, a lot of different things, but we never got to know because he repeatedly pleaded the fifth, which is not suspicious at all. Have a listen here.
111 times.
I respectfully decline to answer. Under the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer. I respectfully decline to answer.
I'm going to give you one more opportunity to comply with the law. At any point between January 1st, 2014 and January 19th, 2025, did you destroy any federal record or tell anyone else to?
Under the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
I find your objection unsupported and direct you to answer the question.
Advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer. Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions.
So that was his opening statement, and then they went ahead and asked him all the questions, and he repeatedly said that same thing over and over again. Just a bit about under advice from counsel, I respect, and under the Constitution, I respectfully refrain from asking a question. So they all went through the process of asking him the questions anyway, and he just
said it over 100 times.
This guy, have a listen. He had the right attitude.
Of that stadium and arrested. Those policies were put in place because you had moronic politicians that listened to the words of a megalomaniac who was more interested in having met a Kardashian than the suffering of the American people, and that is you. Your advice to communities like that, to idiotic politicians who enforce those rules, arrested that mom for watching a football game with her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people.
Yep.
That was satisfying.
But not enough.
Definitely not enough.
And here's a lighthearted take on what actually happened. Here's the brief version of what actually happened.
Yep.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ask me a question. Did you? Secret document that I think you need to sign.
Y'all, sir. Good afternoon. I got your sentence reduced to a month.
Oh!
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So Rand Paul, who kind of led all this, has dumped a bunch of documents, all the documents that he had there to, challenge the source for all of his questions that weren't answered, obviously, to Fauci and stuff. He's put them all on his website, basically, so you can download them all as PDFs and stuff, and it goes way back into, it's got all of Fauci's diaries in it, which he's like, you should read the diaries. Well, they had to release them.
Okay.
Obviously, if they probably didn't get all the information that they wanted, but there probably isn't anything smoking gun in it and stuff, but it's the whole thing's disgusting. If you just read it all, there's no smoking gun, but you get an impression just of how this whole thing went back many years ago and was planned. Like, because we had that thing in, what was it, October 2019? What was it called? What was the name of it?
The exercise. Yeah, the exercise. Tabletop. The coronavirus exercise.
It had something 19 or something. Was it 19 or 20? I can't remember. Anyway, I talked about it a lot at the time, but basically ran a simulation of what lockdowns and all that kind of stuff would happen, how the media would respond, and all that kind of stuff to an outbreak in I think it was September.
Event 201.
Oh, it was August, July, August. Event 201, July, August, was it? 2019. So just a few months.
October 18th, 2019. Yeah.
Okay, October 18th. But there's a bunch of documents there and stuff where it just shows, Fauci basically being, basically working for the CIA, being brought in by the CIA back in 2003 and all kinds of stuff. The whole network in behind that about bioweapons and gain of function and all that kind of stuff. It's all there, and it's been going on for 20 years basically, and them talking about mRNA technology, mRNA vaccines, basically being 2013 under Obama and being signed off on and all that kind of stuff in order to create a better, more effective, quote unquote, vaccine, but obviously gene therapy, because at the time it was not just for vaccines, it was also for to all sorts of
potentially for
genetic engineering and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of it, the whole thing, the clear impression, or the clear conclusion that he come away with is that this was being was a long time in the making, basically, and Fauci was front and center on it, and it's this obsession with basically medicating the world. It's obviously associated with AIDS. Fauci was big part of the whole AIDS vaccine business, and Bill Gates is all over the place in there, and all his vaccine stuff in Africa, and Hillary Clinton as well under the State Department using AIDS and the vaccine programs to get access to countries and all that kind of stuff. And Fauci's front and center, but there's a bunch of them all in there, so it doesn't go specifically to but one of the main things as well from it is that they knew, you can see very clearly that they knew that it was engineered, that the COVID-19 was SARS-CoV-2 was engineered in a lab. They knew it from.
They were emailing each other,
day one.
and they agreed.
They all agreed that it was, and then they
man-made.
decided to go to say, well, let's not say that. Let's pretend it is, and that's really important. People really don't understand why that's so important, because if it was known at the time from the get-go that it was, admitted, like they lied about it, but if they had recognized that it was, or admitted that it was engineered in a lab, then immediately the idea of making a so-called vaccine based on that would have been a seriously dubious proposition, but also it would have prompted demands, I suppose, from everybody and anybody that find out which lab, find out what it was, who did it, and therefore, if necessary, identify. You should be able to identify very clearly how dangerous it is.
Based on your notes when you were making it.
Exactly, yeah, of course.
Studies.
I mean, it was made in a
Show
lab.
us
Find out
all
the
the
lab.
source
You know
material.
what you did.
Yeah.
Like it's you know what I mean. If I make
they're in a position to tell us everything you know.
If I make a gun, if I make a bullet for a gun, and well, then it's not like a mystery, like how to defend myself against it. I know exactly how powerful the gun is, how powerful the bullet is. I can make a bulletproof vest that will stop it.
Yeah.
Very easy. But if it's some kind of mysterious pangolin bat, synthesis or something, then it's very mysterious. When nobody knows, we just have to run with it and try and figure out blah, blah, blah. So they're massive, massive liars. And the whole COVID business was a massive scam, it was an operation designed by people to do what it did, basically, which was to torment and torture and kill large numbers of people. That's the only conclusion based on the available evidence. And there's obviously a lot more evidence that has been covered up, but with the stuff that has been already put out there, it's very, very clear that that's what it was. And anybody who still thinks that it was some kind of natural event and that lockdowns and all that kind of stuff were justified is completely delusional.
Yeah.
It obviously wasn't.
They also wouldn't have been able to impose the stricture on doctors and health authorities against using the usual. What usually happens is
antivirals, yeah.
Whatever works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Best practices. Okay, what have you found? Good. Okay, you found that. Okay, let's improve it even more. How are we going here? That whole process was killed, and it had to be done semi-secretly, literally in secret by some doctors, with following their conscience, because they were under pressure to follow government recommendation, because the fuckheads were holding out for this vaccine, all the while knowing exactly what the virus was. It's
the reason he pled the fifth repeatedly, or didn't say a word, didn't answer any of their questions, was because in the documents that he had, that, like I said, Rand Paul has put up on his website, and you can download them and look at them yourself, and includes all of his diary entries. And as Rand Paul says, what Fauci said in public as the world's doctor, that was the sexiest man alive at 80 years old and all that kind of stuff, and people were,
the Fauci ouchie.
The Fauci ouchie, and Fauci was, and I mean, his diary is pathetic. Like, he's such a fucking narcissist, talking about himself all the time and all the how famous he is and how wonderful. It's so sad. Like, he's a pathetic little rat. Like, but Rand Paul says, like, basically what he said in public was the complete opposite of what he wrote in his diary, and you can see that in his diaries. Basically, that all the stuff he said publicly about wearing masks and people can't go and see their granny and have to lock down and 6 feet and all that stuff. Everything he wrote the opposite of all that in his diaries, and that's why he didn't answer any questions. I mean, it's pretty clear cut. Like, it's not just that he was trying to protect himself because he didn't want to perjure himself, whatever, or he didn't want to. He didn't want to have his words twisted, whatever. He didn't answer any questions because he knew that the questions that were going to be put to him were backed up by his own words in his diary, and he was going to be exposed as a complete and utter fraud. And he a very difficult position there. Like, here's hard evidence from your own diaries that where you wrote this in your diary, and then the next day publicly you said completely the opposite. How do you justify that? Well, unless you really want to convict yourself.
Yes,
you just have to say nothing.
Silent. Burke in the chat asked, will he ever go to jail though?
No,
because he's too, like I said, I mentioned CIA and stuff, so he's like way too protected in that respect. And of course this goes beyond Fauci, right? It wasn't Fauci who was sitting in a lab looking down a microscope,
putting it all together,
putting that modifying that
in a way
furin cleavage site.
He was just a facilitator
and adding a bit of HIV into it, and making the spike protein toxic, and then overseeing the production of a vaccine that included a toxic spike protein. But there's some reference, I have to look it up because there's quite a lot of documents and stuff, but there's some reference in there as well to them talking about using it on testing the vaccine on military personnel, saying we use and historically the kind of people that would test this on would be military personnel, right? And that kind of points to stuff that we and other people have kind of concluded about the whole thing quite a long time ago, when it was the hot topic and we're all looking at it in depth, and the information was more fresh in people's minds and more available. That basically the origin of COVID, the whole COVID scam, was somebody modified coronavirus, which is just a common cold virus, been around for a long time, modified one of them to make it more toxic with this modification of the spike protein, to add in like HIV elements and all that kind of stuff, to make it basically cause immune autoimmune, give people autoimmune disease basically. And so it was modified for a specific purpose, and it was spread in October, November, I think it was September, or into September, October, around the same time they're doing that, what was it called again?
The Wuhan Games.
No. Event 201.
Oh, Event 201.
Around the same time as Event 201 was happening, there was the International Military Games were happening in Wuhan.
Yeah.
And it was spread. China was chosen as the place, as kind of like patient zero or location zero for it, by infecting US military personnel who are going to the International Military Games in Wuhan in October, September, October, or maybe it was in the summer, maybe it was a bit beforehand. It was around that time, the International Military Games 2019 in Wuhan, and American military personnel were infected with the original strain of this modified coronavirus, and that's why then it became the Wuhan virus, because American military personnel brought it there.
Yes, the 7th Military World Games were held in Wuhan from October 18th to 27th, 2019.
Right. That's where it came from. And before that, obviously, it came from a lab, probably Fort Detrick in the US. That's where it was made, modified, and spread and sent to China from there. So,
do you think
that's the long and short of it?
But there's an overlapping. Is it coincidental that Wuhan happens to have China's only equivalent BSL-4 lab or something that was looking at coronaviruses as well?
Yeah. And they were in
and that had business and contract and scientific research ties with Johns Hopkins University and Fauci. And
for sure, they had been funding research there into this whole gain of function thing, which is a kind of separate thing, but it's part of the same picture, basically, like that whole idea of gain of function, of like taking otherwise relatively benign viruses or viruses that aren't actually transmissible to humans and making them transmissible to humans, because at some point they may become naturally transmissible to humans.
So let's get ahead of it.
So let's make it now so we can make a vaccine for it. And Bill Gates just wets his pants at the idea of making a new vaccine for a new pandemic, right? And that's what he talked about for a long time. Because you have to understand, these people are just crazy. Like they're like the megalomaniac. But they're not the kind of, they're not like body and James Bond bodies type thing. They're wheat belly, saggy moob,
yes,
extremely banal type people like Bill Gates, who are at the same time floppy, limp-wristed, who at the same time are have megalomaniacal designs, which is bizarre, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't really fit usually, because the way they're portrayed in popular culture is they're like, they're an evil genius, right? No, it's saggy moobs. Saggy moob James Bond villain who speaks in a squeaky, high-pitched voice,
wearing pink cashmere sweaters,
and falls over, and a gust of wind would blow them over,
and can't even approach a woman, so he gets Russian hookers,
right?
Because how else is he going to get laid?
Yeah, exactly. If
it's case,
if that's not a limited hangout and he has more.
Well, that's
more nefarious predilections.
Jeffrey Epstein said, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I never put this together, but at least according to Wikipedia, Event 201 was on October 18th
Mm-hmm.
and 2019. The Wuhan military games started October 18th, 2019.
Same day.
Literally the same day that they're having
their tabletop exercise
tabletop
for an outbreak of a
exercise.
disease. It was being broken out. It was being released.
Yeah.
Well, somebody in the chat brought up 7/7, the London terror attacks, where somebody who was present at their tabletop exercise reported excitedly afterwards, we were just in the meeting conducting it, and then apparently the scenario we were pretending
or simulating
happened, so we just simply switched into real-time operation.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen all this before. That goes back 7/7. What's that?
2005.
2005. They're talking about 20 years ago. I mean, this stuff has been kind of, for us, has been obvious in a certain sense, or like we've given it a high degree of probability that it's actually true for like 20 years. This kind of operation where these people behind the scenes are plotting all sorts of bullshit operations to foist on the population, and sold as some kind of a organic terror attack or pandemic or whatever, because all the evidence points there. There's way too much evidence to deny that that's what's actually going on. It's so many coincidences that it becomes implausible that it's actually a coincidence. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with, and it's a banality of evil as well, because the people, and again, Fauci isn't front and center, and obviously there's people behind it that you're talking about, intel agency types, and even beyond them or whatever, some
people who never who don't want the public attention.
No,
Fauci did. He was desperate for it.
He was a useful idiot basically, and that's where the whole Wuhan thing, because he's pulled into it because he was involved as NIH director in funding coronavirus research in the Wuhan lab because
Obama banned it at home.
It was for a while. It was gain of function research that was meant to be banned, and then we'll do it in China because it's not banned there, and then that ties the Chinese into it. Basically, it puts the finger on it's like, what do you call him? John Stewart does credit for all his ignorance on the Stephen Colbert show at the time during the COVID business. He was like, what are the chances like a novel coronavirus breaks out in Wuhan right beside the novel coronavirus research lab? But no, it came from a pangolin and a bat. It's like, well, did you check the freaking building that has novel coronavirus lab on it to see if the virus the novel coronavirus might have come from the novel coronavirus lab? It's like right there. It's like the letters are on the building. But that kind of put that give the people who actually created it in Fort Detrick that distance, So it basically drops it on China's lap, and China then has to kind of run interference to go, hang on a minute, did we really do this? No, we didn't. And also Fauci gets hooked into it because he's like suddenly
he's got contracts with the same.
He doesn't know, he's not fully into it, but he's hearing things. He's got intimations of this. There might be something going on. There might be something. And he gets excited and titillated about it because that's all he can. That's the only thing that gets him excited,
but when the accusations start, it's deny.
Well, yeah, because he realizes it's those kind of people who involve themselves in that kind of bullshit and that kind of smoke and mirrors intel, operations and all that kind of stuff. They think they're part of it, and then they realize that they're actually
being hung out to dry.
Yeah, or i.e., either they're hung out to dry, or like Fauci is to some extent being hung out to dry. But when that broke, Fauci suddenly realized that he had he had a lot of motivation to cover it up
on behalf of them.
Yes, on behalf. Well, because he was implicated in it, unknown to him. When it dropped, he was like, "Holy shit! I didn't realize this was going to happen. Let me think this through." And people are going to start thinking that I was involved in. Holy shit! No, I wasn't involved in. No, this is totally normal. Pangolins and bats. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
And so he's on these small closed circuit emails in February 2020 with people, and I think he's one of the two trying to steer his group of 12 experts away from it being a leak to
natural origins.
Let's just say,
yeah. Because they immediately would look at him and say, what were you doing over there in the Wuhan lab funding that research into gain of function on coronaviruses? Was that you? Yeah, that was me.
I was doing Chinese hookers, okay? I had nothing to do with the viruses. I mean, maybe I got a couple of viruses, but those have nothing to do.
But
I was eating bats in the Wuhan wet market.
But the implications must have crossed his mind that, okay, my reputation's torture. I could even go to jail. You know what? I think the risk is worth it. Fuck it. Put the whole world on lockdown. He saved his own skin.
Yeah. By shutting everybody else up, yeah. And in his diaries and stuff, you see that he's totally obsessed with prizes and awards, which is a weird thing about scientists. You know what I mean? Even someone like Fauci and stuff, who's relatively well known and had some fame and some recognition, scientists still don't get the kind of recognition and fame that they think they deserve. So they're super stoked about any kind of prize, any kind of award. If money, all the better. But awards, some kind of an award, it's like catnip to scientists, like, you know what I mean? Because they toil away in obscurity for so many years, and finally someone comes along and says, "Hey, would you like an award?" Like, what? I fucking ever like an award? You mean someone actually recognizes me and doesn't think I'm just this like boring scientist type thing? Like,
and there'll be wine and young PhDs. Sign me up.
Let me at it.
I don't know. It sounds like it's even worse if you're a shitty scientist and a narcissist.
Yep. Well, you're more manipulatable.
Yeah.
When you're
incompetent,
very narcissistic and incompetent, because you're crap and useless, and also, but you believe that you're not. You believe you're the best ever, and nobody's recognized it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, I think that's about it.
Did you want to watch the clip of Trump talking about how much Lindsey Graham loves war? I was able to find it.
That's from recently?
From the funeral?
Yeah.
Oh, from the funeral, yeah. Go
no. Ahead. Well, yeah, go on.
All right, I just sent it over.
At his funeral?
Yeah.
That is your eulogy. Like, I mean, Trump is such an asshole.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
He was extremely hawkish. I will tell you, he never saw a war that he didn't like. Only his true friends would understand that, but he wanted it for the good of our country.
No, everybody understands that.
He was often unfairly characterized as a warmonger. I've heard that false criticism a lot.
Trump just said it.
The truth was the opposite.
The opposite is
desperately wanted
love
and
peace.
talked to the president about a lasting peace in the Middle East. He
By blowing
wanted
up
every region, every country in the region on that path to peace. That was Lindsey's dream. If people would only listen to what he had been saying.
We do. We listen to it. I can play some recordings right now. I'm saying
we should bomb.
War, bomb,
we should bomb them.
War, bomb.
As long as we're killing all the right people, what's not to lie?
Yeah. Killing Russians. That made my day. So does Trump even? Yeah, he was hawkish. He never met a war he didn't like. So I don't think he's going to heaven.
Yeah,
that's what he should have followed up with.
Well, yeah,
I love when he was reading from papers, and they said everybody liked Lindsey, and he broke, and he said, well, not everybody. He looked out. Let's be fair.
It's pathetic. Those people are living in their bubble, you know.
I just wanted to highlight, this is one of those instances where I love Trump because he said something no one else would.
Yeah.
But they're all thinking it.
And everyone was thinking it, but he basically called Lindsey Graham a war whore at his own fucking funeral.
Yeah. And he thought it was fine.
And he thought it was fine. And I love that. I love it.
Yeah. It's just, we'll take it. If that's all we can get amongst all the other bullshit, then yeah, we'll take our little moments, I suppose. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there for this week, folks. We hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back next week with another show on, dare I say it, whatever bullshit's been going on between now and then. It's a real slog, every week. I know some people do it every day, but that would just be ridiculous. I'm not reporting on Trump saying the same thing every single day. That would just be really stupid. So, so we'll be back next week with another show, whatever bullshit's been going on between now and then. So, until then, have a good week. See you later.
Bye, y'all.
So long.
Can't stop the signal now.